Welcome to Welfare Clinic. Dangerous driving, road safety is one of the most important aspects of our daily lives. Many people lose their lives tragically because of people recklessly driving on the road. Many cyclists lose their life, many people trying to cross the road losing their lives. And these are some of the issues that we're going to talk about today. I have two important guests with me. On my right, first of all, is Monirul Alam, who has been a driving instructor for last 10 years. Monirul Alam, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
On my left, someone you may be familiar with, Councillor Mahbub Alam from London Borough of Tower Hamlets. Councillor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I'm very pleased to be here.
Thank you. First of all, Monir Bhai, I want to start off with you. You have been a driving instructor for last 10 years.
Yes.
You've been on the roads. You see how people drive. You teach people on daily basis. Is there, the important question often people ask, is there shortcut to passing the test?
Well, there are many ways instructors train their students up. Sometimes, instead of teaching the overall driving, all specs of driving, they take a shortcut by saying certain times of the day, certain test centers, they can only do certain test routes. And some instructors know that. All they do is they teach the students just those routes and not anything else. They brainwash them into knowing those routes inside out, yeah, and train them up, follow the procedures just to pass the test.
And do you think that's a good initiative? Do you think because of shortcuts that they take, that potentially a driver can be on the road with the less experience and knowledge, and that could be a dangerous thing?
Yes, because they don't learn all aspects of driving. They don't learn all different types of road. Like when I take my students for a driving test, suppose they want to take a driving test in a particular test center. Let's, for argument's sake, Good Maze. I don't just teach them driving in Good Maze only. I'll take them on certain lessons somewhere they've never been. Because you're not going to drive in test routes for the rest of your life. You have to drive in all different roads. You have to handle all different types of roundabouts, different types of dual carriageways, different types of country lanes, single roads, congested roads, like Bethnal Green, all sorts of things. So you can't just drive, some instructors just teach the students on the test routes and not beyond that. So those students who pass are not, I won't call them the complete driver. They don't know all different. When they pass their test, they'll come to a roundabout or a road they've never faced, and they won't know how to handle it.
And why do they do that? Why those driving instructors actually knowing what they're doing is wrong, knowing that they're putting drivers on the road who could be potentially...
Yeah, I'm not saying all instructors do that, but some of them are obsessed about the students passing the test.
Rate.
They'll do somehow to get them through. That's it. Yeah? But you shouldn't just teach a student just to pass the test in just driving in test routes. You have to take them to different areas so they can handle all different types of roads and road situations.
Before I go to Councillor Alam, I want to say to our viewers, if you have any questions, you can write your questions on our Facebook page on LB24, and we will get those questions answered by our guests. Any questions you have about road safety, driving, anything you want to know, it's your chance now to get those questions to us. Councillor Alam, you have been councillor in London Borough of Tower Hamlets. We know in Tower Hamlets there has been many incidents, unfortunately. Many people have tragically lost their lives. What do you think you as local council or local authority can do? But also, why do you think there is so much incident taking place in Tower Hamlets?
I mean, thank you for inviting me to begin with. Of course, it is a very important topic that we're talking about. It involves lives. I want to start off with a cyclist, and we had many tragic accidents on our roads here. And if I may say, there were 79 pedestrians and cyclists were killed across London in 2015, and there has been few in Tower Hamlet itself. Now, I would say that some of the superhighways are poorly designed. Now, we've been fighting with one individual one, which is in Cable Street. and you probably was involved in one of them, that we don't think it's safe, needs to be looked at, is poorly designed. It still remains a big concern for many parents when they pick up their kids from school and drop them. Now, on top of all this, we have another two proposed cycle lanes in Manchester Road and Island Gardens, which will make the road less safer, I believe. It will deprive locals from parking space and might even result in loss of a 30-year-old trees.
But you say you will make roads unsafe, but the many will argue because the number of cyclists getting killed, they need to have some kind of separate lane to protect the safety of the cyclists.
I mean, here we have to make sure, give right to both. The drivers has right to drive safely on the road, which is they pay road tax, and this is what their right as well. And cyclists need to feel safer as well. I personally cycle myself, and I support the idea of encouraging people to cycle. It's healthier and it's environmentally better. But at the same time, safety should be the first priority. It's no good just have it in mind and just have it designed and just show that there are cycle lanes and Londons are now supporting cycle lanes. It's about safety. Now, like I said, in Cable Street, one example that I will bring up again and again, because we gave alternative. We thought about an alternative route. So we're not saying get the route away, but having the route by the highway, which we had the biggest pavement going, could have been a better result. But then who actually looks at it? Of course, the Transport for London is responsible.
So is it the bike lane of Cable Street on the pavement as well?
Yeah.
Is it pedestrians and bikes that go together?
And
yeah?
one thing about Cable Street is because it's a one-way road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So drivers are adjust to looking at one direction because it's been there for so long. You all know Cable Street and history of Cable Street. It's a road that many people take. It's a very known road. So it's one way. Now, having the cycle in going both direction can be quite confusing. And many incidents have taken place in Cable Street. So it's not, we cannot just blame the drivers.
Yeah,
the
authority
should take some responsibility and make it safer. And as a councillor in Tower Hamlets, I have raised it. Many people have raised it, and I strongly believe that Mayor and his administration should look into it, especially the new cycle lane that's taken place in Manchester Road. Yeah. Really needs to be thought about.
But the Cable Street, you know the turning where you turn into the Shadwell station, that is quite a dangerous. Cycles are coming from both direction. And a lot of drivers, when they're turning, they can see what's coming from the front, but they don't turn their head to see what's coming from their right. And it's really a dangerous junction there. You know?
And you got the zebra cross there, you got the DLR station.
That's right.
So the foot flow is
well,
huge.
one of our viewers actually agreeing with you, saying that you are spot on, Joinul Uddin. You as a driving instructor, Munir Bhai, when you are on the street, on the roads, with your students teaching them, do you find difficulty with cyclists or the motorbikes as well?
I'll tell you just a couple of incidents. Like you said, Bhai, that the cyclists, they should be protected. They're vulnerable people. They should be protected. We should look out for them as drivers. But I think the cyclists themselves should take some responsibilities. Okay?
Yes.
I'll just mention, because I'm on the road all the time, I drive about 3,500 miles a month. So I see a lot of incidents every day. So the other day, I was going down to Stratford Maryland station, and there was some road work going on. And they have a sign saying it's a three-way traffic light control. Three-way traffic light control means if your light is green, the other two sides are red. Okay?
Yes.
So it's one side at a time. So my light went green. I was going to the end of the junction and I was going to turn left. As I got to the top, suddenly a bike from the right shot past me. Now he shouldn't have gone because his side was red. Now I'm a driving instructor, so I look everywhere. I saw that. But how many people would see that?
So you saying the cyclists don't
I'm not
follow
saying all, but a lot of them don't follow
regulation of the road safety.
Another quite common mistake cyclists make is when you the other day I was again turning left. My indicator was on. I'm turning left. I could see in my side mirror a cyclist coming from behind. Right now what happens is I could see him speeding up just to beat me before I could turn, so that he could go past rather than slowing down. Now, in generally trying, that's what we call in driving terms,
Yeah, that's fine.
That's what we call undertaking. You mustn't undertake somebody, it's dangerous. You must, if you want to take something, you have to overtake on the right side. So anyway, I saw that. I had no choice but to slow down, let him go past, then I did the turning. So that's what I'm saying, the cyclist should.
Do you think then the cyclists should be educated in lots
Yes.
of, we have lots of good responsible cyclists, but some cyclists, if I may say, that don't have a good idea of the road safety and road signs as well. And some of them might have never taken a test or never driven a car. We have, so to become a cyclist, you can go and pick up a bike today and you start cycling.
It's like a motorbike. You have to have a CBT training, compulsory basic training.
Because
for all motorbikes.
you know the giveaway.
But the cyclist, there's no CBT.
What you said, you pointed out quite rightly, and I have witnessed that a few times in Cable Street when I was turning into, because I live very close to it. When I was doing a turn on the Sutton Street, there is a giveaway for the cyclist. There are lots of responsible cyclists, they stop, they know this is a giveaway. I see many they just go past it without even thinking of stopping. And there was once, I was doing the turning and they won't stop. And then he shouted at me, watch out. And I said, did you know? I still stopped and did you know it was a giveaway for you? And he thought, what giveaway?
A lot of people, we're getting some comments where people say too many crazy drivers on the road, but it's not always the fault of the drivers necessarily. We know that, and we will come on to that, where some people do speed in 30-mile speed zone, there is 90 mile or even 80 miles per hour they're driving, and they cause death by dangerous driving. But let me ask one question. One is a politician and one is a driving instructor. Both of you in your own way, you giving service to the public.
Yeah.
Do you ever come across where cyclists actually refuse to stop at the zebra crossing?
I must say, look, let's be honest here. There are many times I've witnessed they come in a good speed, but they stop and they wait until everyone actually crossed. These are responsible cyclists that I've witnessed. At the same time, I've seen one or two, they do not stop. They just somehow stay on their paddle, slow down a little bit and try and go across you instead of having a full stop. So they just don't want to slow down or don't want to put their feet on the ground.
But
so I've witnessed both.
Do you know the procedure of a cyclist when they're going across a zebra crossing? They're supposed to dismount, cross the zebra crossing, then mount the cycle and go.
So they should come off the bike and then...
Right, yeah.
Okay. But
because if you come on a bike, you're coming at a very high speed. You don't give the drivers enough time to react to this sort of thing. Yeah? Whereas the pedestrian he's walking at a walking pace. Technically, the cyclist is supposed to dismount, cross the zebra crossing, then mount the cycle again. I don't think any cyclist...
Shouldn't the authority then put up a sign, or thinking of putting up a sign that gives the indication that this
cyclist,
is what
dismount.
Dismount,
Yeah, well,
or full stop.
Yeah.
Cyclist full stop at zebra crossing.
let me ask you another question, and both of you can answer. Then there's another person saying, Jonuluddin, saying that cyclists don't actually follow the signs and zebra cross and traffic lights and so forth. Since we had the super highway for cycles, especially down city, not very far from here,
and the Stratford
and down in Stratford, and now you mentioned, Councillor, there's some proposed lane to come down Dockland. Do you guys believe it's about time the cyclists should have insurance and pay towards the roads cost as well, just like car drivers, or do you guys think slightly differently now, they shouldn't have to pay anything?
I think they should have some basic trainings and road etiquettes rather than road tax and all that stuff. I think that's more important than getting revenue from them, which probably goes to the government or whatever. I just think they should be trained better, and they should follow the etiquettes and procedures a bit more.
If any cyclists are listening, we want to give you opportunity to have your say. If you are watching this show and you are cyclists, then do throw in your comments, your questions on our LB24 Facebook page. And if you have any question, we'll get it answered. But we also want to hear from the cyclist. If you're a cyclist and if you disagree with two of my guests, then please feel free to send your comments through to us so we can see what you also have to say. Councillor, what is your view on that? On whether there should be insurance for cyclists and
I mean, I agree with what the other guests have said. But I do think they should be educated. There should be some program set. It could be voluntarily. So those cyclists wants to go and do the course voluntarily.
Even just for a couple of days.
So if the local authority can take some initiative, we're going to start somewhere, right? I personally think we can take the lead on it as a Tower Hamlets Council. Maybe the mayor can think of it, setting up a mobile program where a cyclist can go and have their say, or cyclists can at least learn certain things that they want to do, or parents can send their children to learn better safe cycling, because and that should be provided freely. That could help. Also, at the same time, we should take responsibility of if there was a huge concern on certain cycle lanes within the borough, then it should be looked into. Officers should go into it and see exactly where things are and how this can be improved, rather than just allowing it to happen continuously. Like I said, it's been far too long. Even today, I was in Shadwell, and when I met few people, every time I go to Shadwell and we talk about other things, the cycle lane comes in. This is a topic because it's a concern. People are not feeling safe having the cycle lane run through a residential area, and the road is narrow itself, and then having it both way running. I could have understood. There was a time that we proposed.
But you're saying that, but what is the alternative? Is there alternative if there was no cycle lane? What is the alternative? Because what you would have to agree, not necessarily have to agree, but there is many cyclists have unfortunately lost lives because of reckless driving or people driving dangerously on the roads.
I mean, the drivers has to be a bit more responsible, without a doubt. I mean, there's a fault on both sides, and some drivers are being very careless. But what my point would be tonight, as soon as you talk about careless driving or speeding, naturally youth or new driver comes in mind, but that's not the case. We have lots of drivers, they drink and driving issues. And in 2014, 9,967 people were killed in alcohol-related accidents, crashes. Yeah,
that's a lot.
So those drivers are mature drivers. They've been driving for years and years. But the one incident, one day he decided or she decided to drive while they were drinking, and that caused the crash. So we cannot just target one particular group of people when you talk about careless driving. So we have to be responsible.
I know we criticize the cyclist a bit, but I'd like to add a few things about the drivers. Drivers should, I teach my students, whenever you're turning left, you should always look in your left door mirror, because cyclists, anything could be on the, as you turn. A lot of people, once they pass, they just don't do that. I'm turning, they're obsessed about the turning, and they're just turning. One thing. That will save a lot of cyclists as you're turning, okay? Whether the cyclists follow the rule or not, if you look in your left mirror before you turn, it will save a lot of hassle. The other thing is, when you're overtaking a cyclist, the rule is you have to give them at least 1.5 meters space, okay? One of my students about a year and a half ago failed his driving test in Chengfu because he was overtaking a cyclist, which he should do on a test, even on a test. It's a slow-moving vehicle. If you don't overtake, you're going to hold up the traffic behind. But what he did was, when he was overtaking the cyclist, there was an oncoming, it's a single lane on each side. Another car was coming. Then they got to a situation where he was next to the bike and next to the oncoming traffic. He didn't know who to give how much space to. Yeah? And then he ended up, to avoid the oncoming traffic, got too close to the cyclist. And the examiner failed him because he got less than 1 meter from the bike. So I said to the drivers, overtake the cyclist, yes, but never overtake the cyclist on a single lane on each side when there's a car coming. If the car is far away and you know that you can overtake the cyclist and come back to the left, and that other oncoming traffic will be nowhere near, do it. Or bide your time, wait for it. When it's clear, give him adequate clearance and then pass. So simple things like that will save a lot of hassle to the cyclist.
Just hold on to your thoughts, gentlemen. So we're just going to take a quick break and then we'll be back. But before we go on break, if you have any questions, do send them through to our Facebook page, LB24. This is your opportunity to ask any questions about road safety. See you in a few minutes.
Imon!
What are you doing here?
Imonde দেখতে পাইছি।
It's best you just stay away from us.
ইমন রে একবার তা দেখতে দাও একবার
Breakdown of marriage affects parents and children. Barrister Malik and his expert team of lawyers can act to elevate pain and stress. Westminster Law Chambers.
Sale, sale, sale. Massive sale is going on from 10th of November to 31st of December. Salma Designer Abaya House is giving up to 50% off on all designer abayas, designer kaftans, waistcoats, ajwa dates, black seed oil, Islamic books and many more items. Visit our store to get this end of the year special sale. Salma Designer Abaya House, 118 Whitechapel Road, London E1 1JE. Telephone 0207 018 2375.
Welcome to Agora Grill and Steakhouse. Agora Mixed Grill Special. Great menu for fish lover, tasty steaks dinner, 10 gourmet burger choices and many more.
Great service.
I will come again and again.
HMC approved, 100% halal.
Agora, ready to serve you.
Agora, sign of happiness.
স্বাস্থ্যসম্মত উপায়ে প্রস্তুত প্রিমিয়াম কোয়ালিটি পরোটা শাহানা পরোটা আপনার নিত্যদিনের পছন্দের খাবার। শাহানা পরোটা এখন ব্রিটেন ও ইউরোপ জুড়ে সর্বত্র পাওয়া যাচ্ছে। সাসকো ফুডস ইউকে লিমিটেড 0208 591 6043।
তোর মা আমারে নিবার লাগে আইছে বলে তোর মা আমি আইয়া
আজকে দেখি ইগোর আমার ইগোর অধিকার আমার বেশি আমি বছর বড়
তোমরা আমারে শান্তি মতো মরবার দিতায় না বুঝছি ব্যারিস্টার মালিক সাহেবরে খবর দাও উইল বানাইতাম
দেখলা তো উইল্লা বানাইলে কি অবস্থা হয় আজকেই উইল বানাওকা টাইম ওয়েস্ট করবা না
সোনার দেশের সোনার মাটি ইলিশ রুই কাতলে রে অন্তর টানে সেই মাটির ঘ্রাণে নদীর তাজা মাছেতে অন্তর টানে সেই মাটির ঘ্রাণে
অন্তরেরই টানে প্রবাসীদের প্রতিটি প্রাণে মিশে আছে সাসকো ফুডস।
Feel like having a grill or a steak? Well, a new grill and steakhouse just opened. Agora Grill and Steakhouse. Come with your family and friends and be first to try our grills and steaks. Agora Grill and Steakhouse, 119 New Road, London E1.
Sale, sale, sale. Massive sale is going on from 10th of November to 31st of December. Salma Designer Abaya House is giving up to 50% off on all designer abayas, designer kaftans, waistcoats, ajwa dates, black seed oil, Islamic books and many more items. Visit our store to get this end of the year special sale. Salma Designer Abaya House, 118 Whitechapel Road, London E1 1JE. Telephone 0207 018 2375.
Hello there. Legal Taxi's mobile app is an amazing cloud-based taxi booking solution. The taxi drivers and passengers can access this application anytime and anywhere. Are you waiting on the road or trying to call up a taxi? Well, don't waste your precious time anymore. And now, you can book your taxi at ease. Do you want to know how? It's so simple. Download the Legal Taxis app from the App Store in your smartphone. Register your details with your mobile number or log in directly with your Facebook account. Enter the location manually or drag the balloon where you want the pickup and drop to happen. Legal Taxis application fetches your location automatically and shows the taxis nearby. On a single click, your request is sent to the nearest driver. The taxi driver will receive your request and accept it instantly. In return, you will receive a notification and you could check the current location of taxi with the estimated time to reach your pickup location. While your taxi arrives, hop in and enjoy your ride. At the end of your journey, you will receive the receipt of taxi fare in your mobile app. You can either pay as cash or through online. This app also allows you to feedback about the ride, rate the trip, and share your experience through social media. Legal Taxis app not only allows you to book regular taxis, but also black cabs, mini cabs, and Hackney carriages. What are you waiting for? Book your taxi today for a great voyage at Legal Taxis.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Welfare Clinic. We are talking about dangerous driving and road safety. I have two guests with me, Monirul Alam, who's a driving instructor for last 10 years, and Councillor Mahbub Alam, who's a councillor in London Borough of Tower Hamlets. Before we went on to the break, Monirul, you was talking about one of your students. But I also wanted to ask you about the driving test and pass rate between men and women. You talked earlier how some driving instructors cut corners to get their students.
Just to get them through the driving test.
Get them through the test. But it's also important that you, as a driving instructor, when you're teaching people, you teach them the right kind of things, because they are, when they are on the road, you don't want them to be danger to anybody else. So what is the pass rate at the moment, and is it a lot easier now than before?
Well,
is it a lot harder? How is it working at the moment?
Well, average is it's about roughly 49% for men, 42% for women. Yeah. So really, if you look at it, 2 people take test, 1 will pass. Yeah. And women-wise, 42. That's about 2 people out of 5 will pass. And this is first time I'm talking about.
And does examiners have any sort of targets that they have to pass through?
No, this is something that
X number of people.
This is totally nonsense.
Okay.
Okay, it's totally nonsense. It's a rumor that's been going around for years, okay? It's not true.
Yeah, I want to clear this for our viewers, yes.
I've had incidents over the last 10 years where a student has failed, okay?
Yes.
And second time that student went for the test, coincidentally got the same examiner. Okay?
Yeah.
And he or she passed. Then I say to them, this was not personal. This was not racist. This was nothing. It was purely because you made a mistake on the first time, you failed. Second time, the same person passed you. So they don't have a target. They, by law, have to pass you if you make no serious or no dangerous faults.
Okay.
You're allowed 15 minor faults in that 40 minutes of test. Yeah?
50?
15.
15?
50, that would be ridiculous. Anyone would pass them. Okay, so that's why, yeah. But people say, who are better drivers, men or women? This is fact. If you give me a boy between 18 and 22 or 25, yeah, he will pass quicker than anybody.
Why is that?
Well, young people, they're more interested in cars. They know about things. They know.
Is it because they drive before they even
some of
get
them
a license?
No, some of them do. Some of them dabble at their dad's car. They see their dad, when their dad is driving, they watch them. The boys do watch these things. They pick up a lot of things. How the pedals are plunged, how the gear is changed. They know a lot of those things. Yeah, they talk to their friends. Whereas the girls, they're not so much interested in cars. If you ask them what the pedals are, what pedals I have on my side, they won't know. I've had students who had no idea. Okay? So, but I also say, look, 18 to 22, they will pass quicker than anybody, boys that is. But if you give me an 18 to 20-year-old girl, 22-year-old girl, she will pass quicker than a man over 35. Us men, after a certain age, we are so set in our own ways that it's very difficult to mold them in your own way, teach them. A young girl will pass quicker than a man, middle-aged man, any day. But a young man will pass quicker than anybody else.
That's an interesting
that's a fact.
Statistics from you. You mentioned about young people, and often when incident happens, and yesterday a lorry driver got jailed for 2.5 years for causing death by reckless driving on A13.
On the A13, yes.
The A13 that you probably use and
all the time.
You use to go on your daily life. But often when the incident happens, or people who are speeding more than what they're supposed to be, so in 30-mile-hour zone, some people are speeding to 60, 70, and often we find that those drivers are usually younger men It's very rare you actually come across women causing death by dangerous driving or
That is rare, yeah.
reckless driving. So it seems like women are more sensible on the road than men.
They're cautious. Women are generally a bit more cautious, sensible, and they also have, I would say, certain element of fear as well with them. Yeah? So that's probably a combination of all that makes them drive a bit slower. Yeah? But a young man, once they pass their test, and especially if they pass first time, there's a certain arrogance that goes with the young man when they drive. They think they're invincible. Yeah? They pass first time, everything comes easy. And then as they get more competent as they drive, and they get this false sense of security. Oh, I've been driving for 6 months, nothing has happened. And they get this false sense of security, and they start taking risk after risk as that time goes by. But this is something that no matter how much you tell them when they pass, listen, don't do this, don't do that, you passed, follow the rules, follow the blind spots. After a while,
just before I come to you, how many people actually, there is another test that they can take after they pass their test.
It's not a test, it's called Pass Plus.
Yeah, so
this is where, because they're not allowed to go on the motorway until they get the full license, so once they get the full license, we take them on the motorway driving, country road driving, and if they've never taken a lesson at night time, we give them nighttime driving.
Yes.
All bad weather driving.
But does the old instructors do that?
Well, we can't force the students. We recommend it to them. But we can't drag them out to do it. Yeah?
It's up to them.
It's up to them.
No, what I asked, does all the instructors actually offer that?
You can encourage them.
Yes.
Okay.
We offer them, yeah. So it's something really beneficial. Now, I don't know if you guys ever done, as you're driving, you look in the mirrors and you see a car coming from your right lane, okay? Yeah? So, do you ever see that car after a while disappears?
It does, yes.
Right. Why? He's in your blind spot.
Blind spot, yeah, because you can't see with your mirror.
You know, on the dual carriageway, I always tell my students, why do you think dual carriageway, 2 cars have knocked into each other? 3 big wide roads on the A13. Why do you think they knocked into each other? Do you know why? Most people look in the center mirror and the side mirror before they change the lane, okay? But they don't check the blind spot before they actually change the lane. I've been driving over 30 years. To this day, I don't change the lane, just relying on my mirrors. I just have a look, 45-degree angle check for my blind spot before I go. Now,
but not many drivers do that, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Why do you think? So this is what I do with my students. I tell my students, I take control of the car. I said, okay, you're driving, fine. They're driving, by the way. I said, do you see that white, for example, do you see that white car coming on your right lane? They said, yes. I said, look, I'll hold on to the steering. I'll keep an eye on the road. You just look in the mirror. Tell me when that car disappears. I do that. And you should see the face of the, oh my God, that car has disappeared. Do you know where that car is? It's right adjacent to your back door of the car. That's where the car disappears. Right adjacent to the back door, that 45-degree angle. And that sends a shock to them, and then they know they should never move off without checking the blind spot. You've got to put that fear of God in them. That some people say, oh, there's a blind spot. Until you show it to them. Or even if you park up on the side of the road and you tell them, do you see that car coming? Yeah, we're parked on the side of the road. Yeah? And the suddenly car disappears. Yet he's right next to you, next to the back door. So you've got to explain to these kids that every time, that's why those accidents happen. That's why the accidents happen on local roads. People get in the car, check the mirrors, and move off. Yet there could be a cyclist there, a motorbike there, or a car right in your blind spot.
You mentioned about motorbikes. We're going to come to that. As a councillor, what do you think the community can do to raise the awareness? Is the responsibility of the parents? Is the responsibility of the community leaders? Or is it just the responsibility lies with the instructors and the students?
It's a responsibility for all. Because as soon as you're behind the wheel, you are responsible, and you've got to be a responsible driver. Now, I wanted to come in a different angle now. We have drivers been driving for 15, 16 years and so, and then we're still not driving safely sometime. Things changes. Nowadays we have people texting while they're driving, and I've seen even black cab drivers stopped in a traffic light and using their phone or texting or doing something. Sometimes I've seen minicab drivers literally got YouTube on their mobile phone which is stuck to the windscreen. Yeah, not all, but I have seen this. Some. So we now have to figure out exactly where things go wrong, rather than just targeting. Because the easy way we target when it comes to dangerous and driving is young, who just passed his test recently, and what happens? The insurance goes up and up day by day, and they should not be punished, because it is not only them that is responsible for the accident that's happening every day. So that's something that I think we should take in mind, finding out where things are happening, what is the solution, rather than just targeting one individual or group. What happens with the youth when they pass for the first time, and it's excitement that you want to drive. Now, if they were able to buy their car and have it insured and drive their car, if you drive your own car, you drive a bit more responsibly, because it's your own car. You want to take care of your first car, for anybody naturally. But if you're not able to buy the car, what you do, you still want to drive and have the feelings of driving a higher car. When you're driving a hired car, it's not your car, right? And that's when you start testing things out in a car. So we have to see.
And that's why we see so many high cars in town.
Yeah. So I would say if they were able to buy their first car, have their first car, insurance was reasonable, then maybe they would take a bit more care in their own cars when they're driving.
But even one thing we have seen, and this seems to be a little trend in South Asian community, especially during wedding, they want to hire the best car possible. During Eid, they want to speed a bit. You know, they might have a lady sitting next to them, whoever they may be.
Showing off, yes.
They want to impress. But what they don't realize is the consequences that it leads to, that kind of trying to impress somebody that could have far more.
That's when it's a responsibility of parents and us as a community to make sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That's a good point you raised about parents, right? What do you think of all the young people when they pass their test? If the parents do buy them a car and get the insurance done, the box, if you put the insurance company that box, if you put the box in the car, that new driver cannot really go out of control. Even if you brake hard, it's logged in that system. If you brake harsh, frequent braking, harsh braking, anything you do is logged in there, right?
But not many people want that.
Sometimes overprotecting can be interfering as well. Sometimes having some devices put onto your car so much so that it stays in your mind and brain does not allow you to drive comfortably as well. Some can argue, right? The safety issue should be measured with flexibility as well. And like I said, if they were driving their own car, now would you agree with me on this? Yeah? If they were to drive their own car and they drive a hire car, would they not take care of their own car more than hired car?
Well,
what would you say?
I don't know. I mean, if you hire a car and if you damage it, there's a huge cost you have to pay.
Either way, I mean, it's your own car. Yeah. I'm just saying it because I see people, when I've seen youth, when they drive in their own car, they drive in a different style. When they drive in a hire car, like you said, it's a trend now. When it's a wedding happening, when there's a Eid festival or other festival, and they hire supercars and they want to test it out. And it's one of the things. And I would say some of the movies are responsible for it as well. I mean, Speed, you talk about cars and stuff. And you see, that's something we need to talk about it as well, because it looks so good, it looks so exciting, and youths are watching them.
You say that, Councillor, and that's the question I was going to ask. I think one of our viewers actually read my mind, is that not many parents are aware of what their children is getting up to or what they're doing, because many parents, with greatest of respect, don't know their children is even hiring a car.
That's true. Actually.
This is a different subject that needs to be talked about, because the responsibility of the parents. At this moment, we're talking about the safety issue and driving issues. Now, when someone is 18 or 20 or on his 20s and he has passed his test, he's responsible. He's an adult, and he needs to learn to be responsible as well. So you cannot just blame the parents on everything. The parents has some element of responsibility. It continues, I would say. But I'm talking about the recent road crash on the lorry. A13. I don't know how old the driver was, but being able to...
He's middle-aged.
Yeah, he was much older than a young man, yeah.
So being a lorry driver, he has lots of experience, and he's been driving on the road for many, many years without...
we assume.
He's done many
and
miles.
I have seen, like I said, we take black cabs as a responsible drivers. They go through a lot of tests, and they are the icon of London. I always support black cabs, but I see black cab drivers doing the same thing, like drivers. Being irresponsible. Where, how could you be texting or looking at your phone? But then we have to see who is responsible for causing issues in the road, like minicab drivers. They are on the set go. They have to drop a job, then pick up another job. Now, I would bring in Uber, the new things, that makes the driver to set a target, and that makes, I've seen Uber drivers and the black cab drivers and the difference between both doing the similar job. See, we have to make sure, we have to go into a system where we look into the root cause and slowly work on it and make it safer, rather than targeting one particular group and just brush over it and thinking that we don't need to look into it. As soon as we look into the other stuff, the government is responsible for it.
You raised about the box being freedom of some movement or whatever, right? But I think a young person should have the box for at least 6 months to 8 months, maybe a year.
For when first they passed it.
Then they were disciplined.
My argument was, I was a young driver once, like you said, and young drivers can be very responsible.
You're not that young now, are you?
I was once, I said. Right. Now, we're talking about, okay, that's, you're punishing new drivers with the box. No, I'm not saying you're
punishing them.
Now, we have accident being caused by drinking and driving, and those drivers are 30, 40, 60 years old. Yeah.
Well, nowadays,
and like I gave you a figure.
Drink drivers are much older.
In 2014, 9,967 accident, and this was alcohol related. Yeah, and those drivers were.
But can I ask you, gentlemen, one question?
Sure.
What would you say to people who actually have their children in the car, have their family in the car, and they are not a young man of 18 or 22 years old? They are middle-aged or probably close to 40s or past 40s or over 30. What would you say to those individuals when they go on motorway, rather than thinking they sit in a car, they think that they're driving airplane? They're just spinning. So, because bearing in mind, they have their children, they have their family in the car. If those, what would you say to those drivers? Because I don't think they actually think.
I would say, when I'm driving, I'm a role model to my children in every aspect of life. They see me, they learn. That's how children grow and see. So when I'm driving, and if I'm not careful, if I'm not taking care of my own family, this question is to be asked as a father. How responsible are you? Are you really taking care of your family? Because it's a matter of safety not only with your family, but another family might be walking on the street and being in another car. So we need to be responsible, those drivers that we drive, that we are responsible when you sit in the car. I see many drivers don't even wear the seatbelts.
And also the kids at the back don't have the seatbelts.
Seatbelts. So yes, you're right, you did bring it up rightly, that I would request, if parents are watching this live.
Many parents are actually watching live. I can tell you.
That we need to be responsible. When you get into the car, show them they need to be careful by you being careful. So go in, make sure the seatbelts are on, and you go in a nice, reasonable speed. And then they see it and they learn from it, because children, they absorb things. Yeah. And what they absorb stays within their mind. Yeah? If you're going to show off, if you're going to drive fast and reckless and with your family, and then you're teaching your children to do the same.
Let me take that point. You raised about showing the example to the kids, right? You know, my kid, I've got a 12-year-old son. He's used to seeing me, my both hands always on the wheel. The other day I was driving, he was in the front seat with me, right? My left hand went somewhere. He said,
where did he go?
This is what he said to me. Dad, both hands on the wheel, please. This is what he said, 12-year-old boy. Because he's also always seen me full control of my steering with both hands. He's not used to seeing me one hand. I don't know, my hand would pick up something or whatever.
No,
and he said, Dad, both hands on the wheel, please. My God, 12-year-old boy.
Because he sees me how I drive. He's used to seeing you both hands. Right, yeah. But it's not many people actually have both hands, because if you drive, if you're a man, and I'll say this, if you're a man and if you go have both hands on your steering wheels, people will often tease you, oh, you're driving like a woman, oh, well, you're scared.
Do you know why the driver has the right hand all darker than the left hand?
Because the writing is always on the steering. but I think, look, although we throwing few jokes in it, but obviously it's a very dangerous, for a very serious issue. It costs people's lives, and I think we have to have some kind of mechanism in place for the young people who drive, who pass tests, to understand. And I think no driving instructor, personally I feel, shouldn't cut any corners just so that they can get their pass rate high, because that shouldn't be the case.
Would you agree that anyone can be a careless driver?
Of course, yes.
So, when we talk about careless, many times when we have the discussion, like I said, there's a particular group that we all seems to target, the new drivers. And like we're saying that, of course, when you learn, and many doctors become doctors because the teachers has taught them, but not everyone makes it the same.
Yeah.
Same with the drivers. I think instructors are doing a great job, and law has been changed since I was passed. I mean, this was, in my time was totally easy. It was very easy compared to what they go through now. It's a lot of stress on everyone wants to pass their driving license, which helps them in their work environment, helps them in the
driving
future.
test is very stringent.
So now it's very strict, and also they are now being targeted by the insurance company as well, the new drivers, and then they get, most of the time they are the one who gets the blame. But what I'm saying is anyone can be a careless driver.
Of course.
And now I think the authority, the government has to take some initiative as well, take some responsibility and making things safer. And how we need to make things safer, how we need to monitor things. Of course, things have been done. Things have been done. Like I said, we did the road safety now compared to I've driven up to Venice, and I do a lot of road trips. And now when I'm on the road on Europe and when I'm on the road in our country in England, I see differences. So maybe we can learn from it as well. I mean, see the rate of their road accident and see the rate of our road accidents. And we can at least learn from it as well. So I think we should all take
a bit rougher in Europe.
I think no. I would argue on that. In certain countries that I've driven, my experience was much better than here.
Okay.
So I mean, their roads are much bigger. Their roads, I would say.
But our roads is quite small, isn't it?
So layout is quite good. You go to countryside here. I travel to Suffolk often, and I've driven to Isle of Skye in Scotland, and the roads can be questioned. Some of the roads, not all of them.
Sorry to interrupt. We are coming almost to the end of the show, and I want to pick up on one piece of topic. We talked about cyclists, we talked about new drivers, we talked about roles and responsibilities, but motorcyclists. Recently, somebody was jailed for driving 149 miles per hour.
A motorcyclist.
Motorcyclist. Okay. And they do far more cut corners on the road.
And shuffle between cars
and 1 minute you driving, next minute you see a motorbike front of you, next minute they go on, next minute they back again.
I don't mind the motorcyclist shuffling and cutting across me, but I wish they would give me adequate clearance before they cut across in front of my car. This is something the motorcyclists don't do.
And not all.
Not all drivers are reckless. Not all drivers are reckless, and I think that one thing that we have made clear in this, that women are far more careful on the roads. Hopefully, we'll get a few more likes. Women are far more careful on the roads than men's, and men's intend to show off a little bit more, which is the fact.
I think this can be argued.
I think if you look at the statistics and if you look at the research, a lot of the accident actually cause on A13, not all of them, but a lot of them actually cause because of motorbikes or motorcyclists changing lane and trying to go fast as they can. And on A13, the average speed cameras don't actually work, so people do actually speed a lot.
You know the most dangerous place of A13? That stretch of movers lane. That place, that stretch. There's always accidents there. But I think, from an instructor's point of view, I think once the students pass their test, parents should insist. I mean, we can only suggest, recommend, and tell them that they should do the Pass Plus. Parents should insist that the students go on this Pass Plus to learn a bit more. And also, when they get their own car, I've done this before, this is from my experience I'm talking about. They get their new car, they say, Alam, I got my new car, I'd like you to come with me so I can get comfortable in the car. I've done that. I've taken boy who's three brothers and sister passed with me. He was got a new job in Tesco headquarters. He had to take the dual carriageway from Milford. Motorway. His mum said, I want him to give him lessons till he's confident on the motorway before he goes to the job. This is the parents taking responsibility.
That we are dealing with one group of young drivers. We're talking about drivers who are reckless and careless drivers in terms of in their own profession as well. Right? So we have to find a solution, a system where maybe a course that every drivers are encouraged to do, or a workshop, volunteer workshop that they can set up, the government can set up, that encourages the drivers to go and see. Suppose if I was called to go and do a workshop and I went there and they...
Well, you do have to go to training if you get caught.
No. I'm saying
they do give you opportunity to go to the training, don't they?
To refresh ourselves, if there were a volunteer workshop and I, as a driver, went there and they showed me the accidents and certain things and how life was lost and how families suffered.
How many people do you really think will go to that then, Councillor?
Now, I personally think, this is my view only, this could work. Because when you say how, I'm ready to go, for example, and that means I will encourage another person to go. And at the rate that is going and how accidents are happening every day, I mean, we are making the car safer. We are working on making the road safer. And with the name of the camera, some cameras are, of course, for safety, and some cameras are for earning revenue. I mean, I think we are earning more revenue with the cameras than proving to be more safe.
But do you not think the camera has been deterrent to many drivers?
Yes, deterrent, yes, of course. Yeah. At the same time, how certain cameras work, I'm sure you as a driver, you go in a certain way, you suddenly do a brake because you see a camera in front of you. Yeah?
And then
you speed, and that itself can be a cause for an accident.
And that's why they have these average speed cameras now.
You could put thousands of cameras, but if the drivers are not responsible,
it's not educated,
and it's not in their mind, and if they are not educated, then we will always see this happening.
Now that we're discussing, suddenly it's popped into my head. Is this? The other day, I was giving a mock test to one of my students before the test, and I was pretending to be the examiner. And then after I finished the test, she said to me, "Wouldn't it be interesting if you gave a mock test to one of your students who passed a year or so ago, to see how good they are, how many bad habits they picked up?" Which brings me to this point. What do you think? What do you guys think of somebody who's passed a test? Once they start driving, and after a year later, it's not a test. After a year later, it's they have to come back after 1 year. Obviously, they've been driving. To take a 40 minutes of driving test, not a test, another thing, with an examiner to see.
Again, I would say we are still punishing. I would use the word again.
Punishing?
Yeah, the new drivers.
No, it's not a driving test.
I think what I'm saying is,
come back after a year later.
I'm talking about the careless driver.
But Councillor, what's your point was earlier, that where you said is that if there was some kind of workshop or something, but if, say for example, we don't know whether government going to do it or not, but if the government said everybody who have passed their test, after 3 years, they have to come in. They don't have to pass again, or whatever X number of years.
Voluntarily come back, and then we can pinpoint to you how many bad habits you picked up, or you haven't picked up.
See, my argument was, instead of setting a time or within a year, then it's a rules, it's a time. It could be then a fee involved. It's a workshop, volunteer workshop.
Yeah, but do you not
encourage the drivers to come and see what reckless driving can result into.
But do you not think...
You know, when you see life being lost...
Unless somebody points out the mistakes or bad habits you picked up over a year, you're never going to know. Then they'll say, hey, you never used to do that. Now you're doing this.
Look, can I say this to both of you gentlemen? Is that everybody on the road knows that how they should be driving. They know, it's a lot of it's common sense, what is reckless driving. People know they shouldn't be drinking and driving.
This is an ongoing issue.
But everybody knows that. But what I'm saying, what you're suggesting is that giving option, I don't personally believe that people will go to any of these, because those people already know. Whether you're 20 years old or 40 years old, if you say 70 miles per hour, we know on motorways people driving 120, 130 miles per hour.
Most people are doing 80 and
but there's some people who's doing that. We talked about people who have their families
But it's
on
a
the back
fact.
of the car, but they're still speeding.
But it's
So-
a fact though.
Yeah.
Police will, they will allow 10%
Yeah.
of your speed limit.
But-
So 70, you go 77, police are not going to
Yeah,
stop you.
but what I'm saying, I'm talking about higher than that. We know people who's doing it, and unless there is a law made strictly, people, I don't think people will follow just what you're suggesting. I understand you and others may be interested in, but no, I don't think you're going to get a large
What I'm saying
number
is,
of people.
What I'm saying, we changed the testing system. The test itself, the whole procedure of getting a driving license is a lot difficult than before.
Very difficult nowadays, yeah.
Let's not add more to it, but make people responsible. That's what I'm saying. Here is we all wish to have
Well,
a
I
license.
personally think it should be more strict, the driving test. I think it's a lot easier for people. I think people are passing just like...
No. See, I will disagree.
I
I will
would
disagree.
say
I mean,
that.
when I passed,
Yeah.
I only drove for maybe 20 minutes or so,
That's
if
right,
I remember
yeah.
correctly. And I was only asked about 2 or 3 questions.
That's
And I've been driving for a very long time now, and I could quite proudly, alhamdulillah, I could say
there's-
that I have not had any accident yet. But see, where I come in here is we have to identify the careless drivers and what causing this person to careless, being so careless. One, alcohol related. That's a fact. So we need to do something about that. Secondly, the rush hour and the lifestyle that we adopted, where we have to rush from one place to another. Now, having so many cab drivers on the road, which they are on a target, they have to drop one, pick up one, is their living. And all this needs to be kept in mind and then come up with a solution.
I personally think as a driving instructor, I've seen, like you said, enough cab drivers, and I find them to be quite a danger to the road.
I mean, like before I forget, I know you said something about women drivers, and you've praised them quite a bit. At the same time, we should be criticized as well. And I put my hands up, and I'm saying I have witnessed this.
Be careful what you say, Councillor.
Some women, right? They actually putting their makeup on.
Yes,
While they're on the traffic light, and that could be quite dangerous as well.
Well,
also-
if you
also-
are putting
also-
makeup on while driving, please just stop.
Now, also
don't do that.
what they do is when you see
Or checking the
when you're following a
makeups.
car and you see them frequently brake lights coming on, they're braking because they're putting the
Mascara or something.
whatever they're pressing the brakes
Okay.
unnecessarily.
Monirul, we've got literally a few minutes before we have to finish the show. The time does fly.
Indeed.
I know there is some changes coming in to practical test. What are they, just very quickly for our viewers?
Well, the most important one is they're thinking that most people pass their test, get a sat nav, and start driving. And I call them blind drivers because they're just following the sat nav. They never get to know even their local roads. Okay, nothing. So what they're thinking is they're going to bring in the
Someone like
10
me,
minutes,
like to use sat nav
10 minutes
drivers.
of driving during your test, which will be conducted by the sat nav. The examiner will set the codes and everything, preset test route, and he will switch it on, and you have to follow that for 10 minutes.
Okay.
So if something goes wrong, like saying, make a U-turn or something, where you don't have to,
and he
the
doesn't.
examiner will override that. They say, no, carry on or whatever. But generally, you have to do it for 10 minutes just to get used to that so that you know how to follow it, okay? It's like a lot of students saying, keep left, meaning keep to the left lane of the thing. We know of young people who just turn left. So they have to know how to follow the sat nav. So they have to learn that. And the other thing is, at the moment, we have to do reversing the car into a bay. But what they're thinking of bringing in is you forward park into a bay, and then you have to reverse out. So these are the changes.
Some changes coming in.
They can bring in. Yeah.
Just before we come to you for your final thoughts, one of our viewers who's a woman shared, actually, we don't, are you serious? Well, maybe not all the women puts their makeup on, but clearly these two gentlemen are on the roads a lot. And they have seen people do.
I do over 42,000 miles a year.
And
So
in fact, I have also seen, and I have seen people use mobile phones, doing all sorts of stuff, especially when it comes to sat nav. While they're driving, they're trying to enter the postcodes and things like that. And all of those can be potential danger to you and to other road users. And just for people's
May I
info,
suggest to your viewers that please don't put the sat nav in the middle of your front windscreen. Yeah, it's a distraction.
if you cause death by dangerous driving, he could get maximum of 14 years imprisonment, 3 to 11 points. If you get caught for dangerous driving but not killed anyone, he could go prison for maximum of 2 years, and he can get 3 to 11 points. So it's a very serious consequences.
And you have to compulsory retest again.
Exactly, and think about the people around you, your family, your friends, your community. If you go into prison, it affects everybody. So that's something to keep in mind.
And not only that, I doubt if you'll ever find a proper job again if you do something like that.
Councillor, we end of the show. As much as we would love to continue with the show, we are end of the show. What's your final comments, views to our viewers?
I mean, our final, most of us are responsible drivers and we are driving safe, and we keep that in mind while you're on the road. And there are few people who are careless drivers, and I humbly request you, think before you drive. As soon as you put yourself behind the wheel, you could risk yourself, risking somebody else's life. And once this is done, it's a regret that you will go through the rest of your life, and you suffer, your family suffers, and other family and many other people will suffer just due to one careless driving. One is far too many. I would say let's put the word out in the community to friends and family. Where we go together, let's drive safely. Encourage one another to drive safely as possible. I believe the government should take some initiatives as well to make it more safer. As a local authority, I think we can come up with some ideas where we can locally come with an idea that maybe then can be projected in other boroughs as well. So something we as a politician, I think we should think of, and taking it from today's program, I think I'll take that in my mind, and I'll see if something that we can come up with to show that we care and we can make the changes and differences.
Monirul, your final thoughts to our viewers.
I'd like to say that we have a slogan saying, we don't just teach you driving, we teach you safe driving for life. Always I suggest that you keep the contact details of your driving instructor. If ever you feel you're losing confidence about certain aspect of your driving, you should always contact your instructor. We are always here to help you. We're not just here to teach you driving, we're here to teach you driving, safe driving for life. Anytime I've had incidents where they're not confident about, most people have struggled with parallel parking, reverse parking, whatever you want to call it. They'll call me back. I want to practice this a bit more. I don't feel confident about roundabouts. I want to practice it a bit more. You should never pass your testing. Job is done here. Yeah, we are learning something new every day. Yeah, there are some situations on the road you'll face you never had to face before. So just because you pass the test doesn't mean that your driving that is done. You haven't finished. We're every day learning something different. We see something different. Never give up. Always keep contact with your instructor. Anytime that happens, don't be ashamed. Contact him. I want that refreshed. I want that polished up.
Him or her.
Him or her. Everyone. And it's safe driving for life, not just to pass the test. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monirul, Councillor Mahbub Alam. Thank you for your time and coming to the studio. As you have heard, unfortunately, we would have loved to go on talking about this, but all good things must come to end, as they say. I hope you have gained some knowledge and experience from my two guests today. When you're on the roads, no matter how safe you are or how safe you drive, you don't know the driver next to you or behind you or front of you, how they are driving. You must be very careful. And if you have children and families in your car, my plea to you, please do not speed. By speeding, you're not going to save huge amount of time, but it could cost life of your loved ones. And you will have to live with this for the rest of your life. We had many viewers joining us today from abroad, from America, Bangladesh, and other countries. We are grateful to you, and especially to our people in London and England and United Kingdom. Keep watching LB24. Until next time, do take care.